Good morning, children. Sai Ram. I welcome you all to the online class of economics. Children, today I am going to start the next chapter of our book Macroeconomics. That is chapter number 12, and the name of our chapter is Balance of Payments. Children, in today's video, we are going to learn the definition and the meaning of balance of payment, the components, the structure of balance of payment account, current account, and capital account, and we also learn the official reserve account. And finally, we are going to learn the equilibrium and the disequilibrium in BOP, that is BOP deficit. Children, the BOP deficit has been deleted from your class 12th syllabus. As you all know, the 30% of the syllabus has been reduced. So this topic, the balance of payment deficit, we are not going to learn. Basically, we are going to learn only the balance of payment, the structure and the components of the balance of payment. Children, this is a very short chapter, and in this video we will wind up this chapter. So let us start first with the topic balance of payment. In short, we can call it BOP. What is BOP, children? Balance of payment, in short, we can call it BOP, is a statement of accounts showing all monetary transactions, or you can say the economic transactions of a country with the rest of the world during a period of time, and generally an accounting period. So these transactions may be made by the individuals, the firms, and the government of a country, and broadly the monetary transactions which relates to the import and exports of goods. Basically, in this are called the monetary transactions, and in the BOP language it is called as mercantile or visible trade. Simply because of goods are visible when they cross the boundaries. I mean, the goods can be sold, can be seen. And the second is the export and import of services. So children, basically this balance of payment deals with all the economic transactions that happens between a country with the rest of the world. As you all know, we have a business relationship with all the foreign countries in the world, and we are successfully importing and exporting various goods and services to different countries of we are exporting or importing from the different countries of the world. So all the economic transactions which takes place between a country and with the rest of the world will be known as the economic transactions. And basically there are four kinds of economic transactions. The first one is the visible trade, the visible items. Second is the invisible items. Third is the unilateral transfers, and last one is the capital transfer. So, children, there is a flow of foreign exchange into the country when we export goods and services. I mean, when we exporting various goods and services to the foreign countries, then in our country the foreign currency comes, or you can say when the foreigners invest in a financial as well as in real assets. I mean, they are buying either the company's share, or they are investing in various investment schemes, or purchasing, or you can say the land and a building. So in such a way the foreign currency comes into a country. So likewise, when there is a flow of foreign exchange from a country to rest of the world, when we import the various goods and services, or when our residents invest in the financial, or you can say the real assets of other countries, then you can say there is a flow of the currency, because wherever we are making an investment, then their country wants their payment in their own country's currency. So that is why we have to convert our Indian rupee into that country's currency to make them payment. So such you can say such receipts and payment of foreign exchange are recorded in the balance of payments account, and the receipts are recorded as on the credit side of the balance of payment, whereas the payments are recorded on the debit side of the balance of payment account. And moreover, the balance of payment accounts thus prepared reflects the performance of an economy in relation to the rest of the world. I mean, whatever the balance of payment we are maintaining, it shows the business transactions between a country's economy with the rest of the world. So this is called a balance of payment, and the definition we can the definition, one of the important definition which is given by the Kendall Berger. The balance of payments of a country is basically a systematic record of all the economic transactions between the residents of the reporting country and the resident of the foreign countries during a given period of time. So this was the definition which is given by the professor Kendall Berger, and it is duly based on the double entry system of recording of all the economic transactions between the two countries which carried out in a specific or in a specific period of time. So when we say a country's balance of payment, we are referring to the transactions of its citizens and with the government. So a country has to deal with the other countries in respect of the following. I mean, you can say dealing with the another foreign countries. Now, these are the various items by which can be exchange with one country to another country. The first item is the visible item. So children, this include all types of physically goods, import or export. Visible goods are, what are the visible goods? Visible goods are those goods which we can see, touch, measured in the monetary terms. So this is known as the visible items. So when a goods has been import or export, I mean when it crossing the boundary of one country into another country, then it shows as a visible items because we can easily see, in touch, measured or measured them in monetary terms. So this is known as the visible items. And invisible items, which include all those services whose export and import are not visible, that is the transport services, medical services, moreover you can say the banking, the insurance. These are the various services which is been exchanged from one country to another country. This cannot be shown physically, but has its own appearance. That is why it is called an invisible items. And some of the examples are like the banking, telecommunication, insurance, and medical services, transport, and the transport services. These all are the invisible items examples. Now the capital transfer we have, which are concerned with capital receipts and capital payment. Whatever the capital receipts, and when we are importing any, if we are borrowing an amount or making them payment, then the capital is been circulating from one country to another country. So this is called a capital transfer. Next, we have features. It is basically called a systematic record of all the economic transactions between one country and with the rest of the world. As I just said, it includes all transactions, whether it is a visible, invisible, or the capital way. It relates to a period of time. Generally, it is an annual statement because annually, as we are making a government budget, we have to make the balance of payment to analyze that how much the transactions or the trade or the merchandise we have done with the rest of the world. So as I just said, it is a double entry bookkeeping system. So it has two sides, the credit side and the debit side, and the receipts are recorded on the credit side, whereas the payment we are going to record it on the debit side of the balance of payment account. So the general rule in BOP accounting is, if a transaction earns foreign currency for the nation, it is recorded and is credited as a plus item. Obviously, children, when we are making or when we are exporting anything from our country to another country, then it definitely brings the foreign currency. So whatever the foreign currency we are earning, we are getting, will be recorded on the credit side. And such, when we are making any foreign a payment in terms of foreign exchange, then it is recorded on the debit side of the BOP, and it is a negative item. The various components of the balance of payment states are: first, You can say the current account, second is the capital account, revenue reserve account, and errors and omission. These are the various components of balance of payment account. Now let us learn first what is current account. What is current account, children? Current account records basically the receipts and payment of foreign exchange on account of such transactions which do not impact the asset and liability status of a country in relation to the rest of the world. I mean, in current account, we are not dealing with the export or import of various goods and services that we are used to do in that balance of payment account, but in current account it records the receipts and payment of foreign exchange. Now in current account we are only going to record the various receipts and payment of the foreign exchange as we have done with the rest of the world, and in this account we are not going to record it if any asset or liability has been made. I mean, if we have paid any liability to the rest of the world, or if we have made any capital investment, or if we are purchasing any asset, then it is not recorded in the current asset. It will recorded in the capital account. So, liabilities or assets of a country in relations to the rest of the world are neither raised nor reduced. So, in other words, we can say that current account transactions do not give. And children, the current account includes export and import of services, the interest, profit, dividend, and all the unilateral transactions, the receipts, and the payment from or to abroad. So, balance of payment on current account basically refers to the inclusion of three balances of namely mercantile balance, service balance, and unilateral transfer balance. And what is the unilateral transfer, children? A unilateral transfer refers to the items in which it includes one side transactions like the gift, grants, subsidies, etc. This is called in one side transactions because you cannot expect the same transactions from the another country. It basically depends upon your wish. So this is called a current account. Now as I just said, it deals with basically the three kinds of balances. The first one is the trade balance, which basically records the merchandise export and import of goods, services of export and import of services, and income balance like net investment income, net income receipts from assets, and net investment compensation to employees, that is net compensation of employees. And finally it records the net unilateral transfers, that is gift from foreign countries minus gift to foreign countries. Then so in short, we can say that current account is equals to balance of visible items, that is export minus import, plus a balance of invisible items, that is export and import of various services, plus balance of unilateral transactions. This all we are included to calculate the current account. Now next we have is the capital account. Now what is the capital account of BOP? Children, the capital account is that account of BOP in which it includes the economic transactions which affects the liabilities and assets of the government and the resident of a country. So in basically the capital account, it records all international transactions that involve a resident of a country concerned changing either his assets with or his liability to a resident of another country. So the transaction is in the capital account reflect change in the stock either in assets or liability. So current accounts records basically the receipts and payment of such transactions which causes an impact on asset liability status of a country in relation to the rest of the world. So liability or assets of a country are either raised or reduced. So, in short, we can say that capital accounts transactions lead to the future claims. So it is a difference between the receipt and payment on account of capital account, and the capital account involves inflows and outflows relating to investment, short term borrowings, lendings, and medium term to long term borrowings. Capital account balance can be either a surplus or deficient. In the capital account, it shows basically a surplus or deficit, and it includes the private foreign loan flow, movement in the banking capital, the official capital transaction reserve, gold, movement, etc. And these are classified into the two categories. The first is FDI and portfolio management. Now, children, we are going to learn basically the equilibrium in balance of payment, as well as children, the balance. The equilibrium in balance of payment can occurs when when the inflows of foreign currency is equal to the outflows of the foreign currency, and if if this situation is not achieved, then this shows a disequilibrium in the balance of payment account. So how the equilibrium occurs in the balance of payment account? The equilibrium in the balance of payment account occurs when total receipts of a foreign exchange is equal to the total expenditure of the foreign exchange. I mean, when the receipts and payments of foreign exchange will be equal with each other in an accounting year, is known as the equilibrium in the foreign exchange. It shows the equilibrium in the balance of payment, and if this is not achieved, then then there always exists a disequilibrium. So if there is a disequilibrium occurs in the balance of payment, then this equilibrium occurs in the two ways: either there is a surplus BOP, or whether it is a deficit BOP. So children, if it is a surplus BOP, it occurs when the total receipts exceeds the total payments. I mean, the revenue or the credit side of balance of payment is more than the debit side of the balance of payment, then it is known as the surplus BOP. And if the credit side is less and debit side is more, then it shows the deficit in the balance of payment account. So what are the various causes of disequilibrium in the balance of payment? Children, there are many you can say the reasons behind a disequilibrium in the balance of payment. The first is the cyclic fluctuations. The cyclic fluctuations, I mean, there is a lot of fluctuations in the economy just because of the increase or decreases in the prices. So this causes a disequilibrium first. Now the second is the shortfall in the export. Children, if there is a shortfall in the exports, I mean, we are not exporting much to the foreign countries in respect of importing, then it obviously shows in disequilibrium. So children, when the export is less and the import is more, then the then it shows that the inflow of the foreign exchange is less than the outflow. So this shows an equilibrium. Next is the economic development. If the economic development is not good, I mean, the GDP is not rising, or anyhow the total production is not increasing, the infrastructure is not increasing, that it does not show the economic development, and this again causes a disequilibrium. Next is the rapid increase in the population. If the population is increasing a lot, then we have to import many things from the foreign countries, and in this way we have to make them payment as we are receiving by exporting into the foreign countries. So this is yet another causes of disequilibrium. Then we have the structural changes, the natural calamities, and the international capital movements. So this causes a disequilibrium in balance of payment. Now we there are the few measures how we are going to correct the disequilibrium in the balance of payment. So children, to correct the disequilibrium, or to um, uh, the correct the disequilibrium position in the balance of payment account, the government has adopted the various measures. Now some of the important measures we are discussing here with the slide. Now the first one is the monetary measures. Now what is the monetary measures, children? The monetary measures or the monetary policy is concerned with the money supply and the credit in the economy, and the government is using basically the central bank to control this monetary issues, the money problem and the credit in the economy. The central bank may expand or contract the money supply in the economy through appropriate measures which will affect the prices. Children, in the previous video when I have explaining you the you can say the functions of the RBI, I have explained you one most important functions of the RBI, I mean the central bank of a country, that is controller of money supply and credit. So in that functions we have successfully learned that how the RBI is controlling the excess and the deficient demand, I mean how the RBI is controlling the inflationary and the deflationary gap in an economy. So the RBI is basically using two instruments. The first one is the quantitative instruments and the second is the qualitative instruments to control this ever emerging situations. If there is an excess demand, then RBI is using certain instruments, certain tools like repo rate, bank rate, then CRR, at last or you can say open market operations. This are using in a quantitative measures to control the money supply, and also the margin requirement, selective money control, and moral sustain. These are again the another qualitative measures to control the money supply. Then we have a fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is related with the policy which is adopted by the government to control the this disequilibrium position in the balance of payment. The government is changing the I mean, government is adopting the various tools like changing in the government spending, changes in the taxes, fall in export, or increase in export or import. So also all such things are using by the Central Bank of India to control the situations. So the fiscal policy is a policy which is the government policy on income and expenditure, and the government incurs development and the non-development expenditure. So it gets income through the taxation and the non-taxation sources, and depending upon the situations, the government expenditure may be increased or decreased. So this is called a after. Next is the exchange rate depreciation. So children, by reducing the value to the domestic currency, government can control the disequilibrium in the balance of payment in the economy. So exchange rate depreciation reduces the value of a home currency in relation to the foreign currency. So as a result, the import becomes costlier and exports become cheaper. So it is also leads to inflationary trend in the country. Then we have a devaluation. Suppose the government is using or it is decreasing the value of values of a country's currency so that it can control the disequilibrium in an economy. So devaluation is lowering the exchange value of the official currency. So when a country devaluates its currency, exports become cheaper and imports become expensive, which causes a reduction in the balance of BOP deficit. I mean, if the disequilibrium going to increases day by day, now what government is deciding to do? The government is deciding to cut down or to reduce its country's the value of country's currency, so that country's currency will be depreciated, and in this way, in this way, our country's currency becomes cheaper, and in terms with and our country's currency becomes cheaper in terms of the foreign currency. And in this situation, more and more foreign countries are coming into our Indian or our domestic economy to purchase various goods and services. So this is called a devaluation. This is again a yet another important measures to control the disequilibrium. Next we have deflation. Deflation, I mean, if the disequilibrium is going to happen more, then the deflation is again measures to control the disequilibrium in the balance of payment. So deflation is a reduction, basically. Deflation is a reduction in the quantity of money to reduce the price and the income. So in the domestic market, when the currency is deflected, there is a decrease in the income of people. This put curbs on the consumption, and the government can increase export and earn more foreign currency, the foreign exchange. Then we have an exchange control. So all exporters are directly by the monetary authority to surrender their foreign exchanges earnings, and the total available foreign exchange is rationed among the licensed importers. So the license holders can import any good, but amount is fixed by the monetary authority. This is all the measures, the monetary measures adopted to control the disequilibrium in the balance of payment. Now we are going to learn the non-monetary measures. Now what are the non-monetary measures? The first one is the export promotion. Export promotion, in a sense, children, export promotion to control, you can say, to control export promotion, the country may adopt measures to stimulate the exports, like export duties may be reduced to boost export. I mean, the duties, I mean, the charges has been reduced so that more export can be can be done, so that the foreign currency can comes into the economy. So cash assistance, the subsidies can be given to exporters to increase the export. So goods means for export can be exempted from all types of taxes. Now we have the import substitutions as well to control the disequilibrium. Steps may be taken to encourage the production of the import substitutes, and this will save the foreign exchange in the short run by replacing the use of imports by this import substitutes. So this are the measures. Now we do have measures like import control also to control the disequilibrium. For this, the government is adopting basically the two system. The first system is the quotas. So under the quota system, the government may fix and permit the maximum quantity or value of a commodity to be imported during a given period. So under this system, basically, the children, what government is doing is government is fixing the maximum quantity or the value of a commodity to be imported. Now the government is basically limits the import from the foreign countries, so that more and more goods services can be produced from an country, and it will complete the demand of a domestic level. So by restricting imports through the quota, the deficit is reduced and the balance of payment position is improved. I mean, for the certain period, the government stop importing various goods and services for the foreign countries, so that the emerging disequilibrium can be controlled in in a most easiest way. Next is the tariff. So tariff are basically the duties or the taxes which is imposed on imports, and when tariffs are imposed, the prices of imports would increase to the extent of the tariff, and in this way the increased prices will reduce the demand for imported goods, and at the same time induce domestic producers to produce more for the import substitutions. So tariff, I mean, the government is imposing various taxes on importing goods from the foreign countries. Now if the various taxes are or the tariffs are introduced, then the cost of borrowing from the foreign countries or the importing from the foreign countries become much costlier, and in this way the government basically trying to reduce the import from the foreign countries, so that at the domestic level the domestic producers can be motivated to produce more for the more goods in a domestic level, and it will and it will compare with the import substitutes. Next we have a balance of trade. Now what is the balance of trade, children? Balance of trade is basically the difference between a country's export and its imports, and balance of trade is the largest component of the country's balance of payment. So, in the debit side, we are going to include the import or any foreign as financial, you can say, help, or any domestic spending abroad and domestic investment abroad. This we are going to record it on the debit side, and on the credit side it includes the export, basically the foreign spending in the domestic economy and foreign investment in the domestic economy. So when exports are basically greater than the imports, then the balance of trade is favorable, and if import are greater than export, then it is called as unfavorable balance of trade. So this is basically what we are going to learn in the balance of trade. Again, I'm saying, children, the balance of trade refers to basically the difference between the value of export and import of visible items or trade. So balance of trade can be the favorable or unfavorable or balanced. So if we're talking about the favorable balance of trade, so when the export value of goods are more than the import value of goods, it is called a favorable balance of trade. The export value is more than the import value. An unfavorable is where when the import values are greater than the export values, then we call it an unfavorable balance of trade. And the balanced balance of trade is when the export value is equal to the import value of goods, or value of visible goods. So the balance of payment takes into account all the transactions with the rest of the world, whereas the balance of trade is only all the trade transactions with the rest of the world. So children, in balance of payment, we are going to include all the transactions, whether it is a visible, invisible, unilateral transfer, or the capital transfer with the rest of the world. But in balance of trade, we are only dealing with all the transactions, the visible transactions only with the rest of the world. So we have so children, we have some differences, the distinguish between the balance of payment and the balance of trade. In balance of payment, it is basically called a broader term because it includes all the various components, but the balance of trade is a narrow item, the narrow term. It includes only the visible items. So it includes all the transactions related to the visible, invisible, and capital transfers, whereas balance of trade includes only the visible items. Balance of payment is always balanced itself, and it can be a favorable. The balance of trade can be a favorable and unfavorable. So balance of payment is always equal to the current account plus capital account plus or the balancing item, that is error and omission. And balance of trade, net earnings on export, net exports minus imports. So these are basically the differences between the balance of payment and the balance of trade. Now yet we are having one most important topic of this chapter, the differences between the autonomous items and the accommodating items. Children, this there is always a possibility that the differences between the autonomous items and the accommodating items comes every year in the board examination. So there is a possibility of the 99 percent that this questions obviously comes in the board examinations every year. So let us learn basically the differences between the autonomous and the accommodating item. The first basis of difference is the nature. So children, in the if we're talking about you can say the autonomous and the accommodating items. Autonomous items refers to the items of the balance of payment which are relates to the income and the profit earning. Whereas the accommodating items refers to the items of the balance of payment which are not related to the income and the profit earning. So children, in autonomous items, the international economic transactions which take place due to the goals like earning, profit, etc. are called the autonomous items, and it is basically an independent of position in BOP. But in the accommodating items, the transactions emerge because of the other activities in the balance of payment, like gifts by the rest of the world or government, etc. Then we have a second basis of differences, that is the description. So in the balance of payment, names given to this item is above the line items, whereas the accommodating items can be called as below the line items in the balance of payment. Next, we have an equilibrium. The balance of payment will show a deficit if the autonomous receipts are less than the autonomous payments. So, if the autonomous receipts is less than the autonomous payment, then it shows a disequilibrium. It shows a deficit. Whereas these are the short-term capital transactions which is carried out to correct the disequilibrium in the balance of payment, which arises out of autonomous items. So this is for the accommodating items. Now we have yet one last basis of differences. The first one is balancing. I mean, how the this deficit can be balanced well. So in the autonomous items, children, the if any deficit may arises, then the deficit may be financed by decreasing reserves of the foreign currencies or by borrowings from the International Monetary Fund, that is IMF. This will be reflected as depletion in reserves, whereas in accommodating items, children, the final deficit or the surplus of the BOP is removed with the help of the accommodating items, and the accommodating items thus help to balance the BOP, hence their name too. So this is basically a differences between the autonomous items and the accommodating items. So children, if there are not in accommodating items, um, it is called as autonomous items are called as above the line items, whereas in accommodating item it is called as below the line items. So, children, so far what we have understood with this chapter, we have understand first the economic transactions that happens between the country and with the rest of the world. Thereafter, we have learned the components of thereafter we have learned the components of the balance of payment, the structure of the balance of payment. We have learned that there are the four economic transactions. The first is the visible item, invisible items, unilateral transfers, and the capital transfer. Thereafter, we have learned the current account in its components, capital accounts in its component, and the surplus BOP, the deficit BOP, or you can say the unfavorable BOP or the balanced BOP. Thereafter, we have learned the balance of trade definition. What is the balance of trade? As it deals with the visible items only. And thereafter, we have learned the components, the various measures to control the disequilibrium in the balance of payment. And finally, we are learning the differences between the balance of payment and the balance of trade, accommodating items, and the autonomous items. So children, I hope today's lecture will get you understand the basic concepts of the transactions that took place between a country with the rest of the world, and how we are going to record it in the balance of payment account. So children, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and Sai Ram.